for rural villages at International Energy Initiative Asia office, and I was associated with Indo-Norwegian Environment Program as program manager and played an important role in implementing dozen environment-related projects in Karnataka. Mr. Shivakumar has initiated several projects and programs, and one of his major contributions is in developing rainwater harvesting programs both in urban and rural homes of Karnataka. He is instrumental in bringing in policy changes at Government of Karnataka to establish rainwater harvesting measures in government as well as private buildings. He has extensive field experience and strategic insights into technology development and deployment of cost-effective rainwater harvesting solutions. His commitment to awareness creation and capacity building on water issues was instrumental in establishing the country's first Sir M. Visvesvaraya rainwater harvesting theme park in Jayanagar, Bangalore. Subsequently, he developed rainwater harvesting theme parks in Jubilee Hills, Hyderabad, and in Kanpur, Uttar Pradesh. He has several publications and significant number of patents which are under commercial exploitation to benefit the society. He has a national award to his credit awarded by the Union Government of India in the year 2001 for one of his innovations. He was awarded the Citizen Extraordinary by Rotary International in 2007, and his first innovation award, Amulya 2012, for two of his patents was awarded by Government of Karnataka in addition to other state awards and recognitions. He is popularly known as Rain Man, and today he'll share his innovations and science and technology for sustainable living around us. I welcome you, sir. Over to you.
Thank you. Good evening, all. It's my pleasure to be with you. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. My slides are visible?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you. In this National Science Day week, I congratulate each one of you who have participated and trying to take science and technology to the societal benefits. So whatever research we do, at the end, it should find some use in the society, either for production or the protection of nature, or for making their life easier for the people who live here, or for the environment it is. Let us start with something. The innovation is what we need to look in the beginning, and then we'll come how the science and technology can propel this innovation into a technology or some product which can also help our societal needs. Just a simple idea, it can be an innovation which may have an application for social needs. How it is? Let's see. In fact, any innovation, problem identification is the crucial thing. If you have identified the problem and if you have analyzed the problem properly, your job is more than half done. In fact, not only me, the Albert Einstein, he said, the formulation of a problem is often more essential than its solution. It's so true, you see. If you identify a problem and try to solve it, if you don't solve also, somebody else will have the chance to solve it. You have identified the problem, you have analyzed it, you have posed this to see that how this can become a useful product or a solution in the society. Let's see how we go about this. In fact, each one of you sitting here can do a lot of innovations. In my view, I have done several of these things, and some of them have patents, a dozen of them have found places in the society. How do you identify a problem? Just everyday walk of life, you have a lot of problems. Unfortunately, most of us will just ignore them. I'll give you some examples which I have come across in my life. And today's presentation, there will not be any graphs, any tables, or any numbers, and mostly pictorial representation I'm giving to you. And in my life experience, what I have done. Identifying the problem each one of you, every day, whatever you are seeing, try to look at it in a different perspective. What you are witnessing or in your daily life, whether it's at home or in your lab or any other place. For example, nearly 32 years back, I found the refrigerators in this world, which are built across the globe, are wrongly designed. Imagine the refrigerator in your house or wherever it is. You have the door in the front, you have the handle on the left hand side, and the hinges on the right hand side. When I bought a first refrigerator in 1988, when I bought the refrigerator inside my house and plugged it in and tried to open and operate that, I found it's a wrong design because most of us are right-handers. When we operate the refrigerator, you have to hold the handle of the door in the right hand and open it. Then the left hand has to do most of the job. But the left hand is not trained to do. Your brain will send a signal to say that your left hand cannot handle your curd, sambar, utensils, or your fruits or whatever it is inside. So you open the door much wider without your knowledge, and both the hands will go inside and take out the stuff. In the bargain, the refrigerator doors which are designed not to stay at one place, if you have noticed, either they shed close or open onto the other side. So in the bargain, what has happened now? Your both hands are inside the refrigerator, your door has gone to the other side. Then I said, no, I can't handle this refrigerator. It's a totally useless refrigerator. Then I went and asked, and nowhere in the market you can find the refrigerator which has the door on the other side. So what I did was I brought back the same thing after several days of persuasion and finding in the market, brought it back and changed the hinges to the left hand side and the handle to the right hand side. Very simple. Most of the refrigerator at that time, they were very small, 165 liter all-in refrigerator. Very simple. There are two pivot hinges, one at the top, at the bottom, and for two bolts for each one. I switched them to the left side and the handle to the other side. Now in my house, from that day till now, the experiments have gone with new refrigerators also. The handle is on the right hand side, so I hold the handle of the refrigerator in the left hand side, left hand, and open it, and the right hand can do the job. The door is open just sufficient to take out the stuff. See here, this is how. This was my earlier refrigerator. I changed the handle to this side and the hinges to the other side. This is my refrigerator, modified refrigerator. I hold the handle in the left hand side, left hand, and then take out the. It is so easy, so convenient to do this work, and it saves. I monitored with the watt meter for several years, and even in my neighbor's house at 4 places we monitored. 28% of electricity can be saved. In addition to that, you feel so happy and useful. This conversion or this modification, you are at ease to operate the refrigerator. From now on, if you go back and operate, you will feel that how wrongly these refrigerators are designed. Is this a big innovation? No. I identified the problem, whereas the whole world is living with the problem because they thought the refrigerator has to be made in this fashion. I said, no, it's not that. So identify the problem, and there are hundreds of such things which I have done in my life. Few I will share with you how each one of you can be a scientist for innovation. Step number 1, problem identification. We here in South India, we have several agricultural activities going on, and this coconut tree is one among the predominant thing. I also, being a farmer, noticed that this coconut tree or the coconut farming, there has a big problem of biomass drain, like how you call it as brain drain. The biomass drain. Biomass drain is basically you name a thing of this coconut tree in that particular farm, everything goes out, nothing remains there to the soil. In a forest or a healthy tree growth, it has to be recirculated or something else will be brought in from outside. Whereas this coconut tree, unlike many other crops, most of it goes out. Hardly anything left and goes back to the soil, including the fronds or the leaves. Earlier, they were using for many activities inside the farm. Now it is not them. They just burn it. Then I found that the entire coconut farming will have a unsustainable future. So you have to bring a lot of fertilizers, a lot of water has to be put in, many other things. What I did was identify the problem. Then I developed a frond shredder. Basically, it makes all these dry fronds into small pieces, and then the same thing has been put around the tree. This is the frond shredder which is working, and we have to spread them around the tree so that the entire thing becomes manure for the tree and also conserve a lot of water. How water consumption? Because of the shade, and even the sun will not hit the ground. A lot of microbial activity. The tree is more healthier. The soil is rich back again here. Most of your biomass is recirculated back into the soil. This is stage 4 after identifying the problem, developing a technology for that, field testing it, and then deploy it in the field. And the 5th one, patenting. You have ample opportunities to patent and make it commercial. Of course, this I patented it, but I never made it commercial. But you can find them across the South India in most of the places which shreds, and then the farms are thriving. I'll give another example. This got me the national award. Low wattage, high efficiency water heater. Most of you know that the geysers are the water heaters what we have in our bathrooms. They consume, they need a connection of 2 kilowatt or 3 kilowatt. 2000 to 3000 watt is the heating load. I converted that into just 1/10 of that 200 watt water heater. This is the prototype what you are seeing now. What I did was, again, I found the technology to heat water with a coil is like the olden days of our Stone Age pot and fire at the bottom, and your heater is at the bottom. Why do you need the heater at the bottom? Has anyone worried about this? See, the thermal stratification which is happening when you heat the water in a container, the hot water goes to the top and cold water remains at the bottom. So if you have to heat the entire container, the water, that convection currents have to set in, and the entire the container gets heated up. Whereas in your bathroom for your geyser or a water heating vessel, you just need only certain quantity for certain activity. For example, if you want to take a shave, you just need a mug of water. For a baby care or something in a house, you need a couple of mugs of water. You can't heat the entire geyser water, which is 50 liters or 100 liters. What I did was I inverted that. I introduced a coil instead of from the bottom, from the top. Now what's happening? The water gets heated up, and then I introduced a sleeve around that. Only 1 liter of water gets heated up to around 60-70 degrees from 20-25 degrees, and then gets spread at the top, and it will not mix back because the hot water is lighter. And you have an outlet which comes out, and each time a liter of water gets to 60 degrees, and then at the end of the day you have the entire water heated. That way you just need only 200 watts instead of 2000 or 3000 watts. Yes, this is the graph. Lot of scientific studies have been done. Thanks to Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, it was deployed in the Himalayan region where sub-zero temperatures were there. 30 systems worked day and night with this small micro hydro power plants, because there the electricity is very scarce. The lines cannot be drawn from the main line. So they have very small micro hydro power plants. From that, 200 watts to each one of the house has been supplied. Instead of 10 houses having the power of the entire power plant, nearly around 100 houses are now getting the same usage in Himalayan region. Yes. Coming back to water, pure water. Everyone wants pure water, zero bacteria water. If you go to any public place, whether it's a school or any other place, you have most of the time a RO plant built. Without knowing what is the cause or what is the raw water requires treatment, you deploy this RO technology and many other this one. This reverse osmosis and such kind of technologies where nearly around 70 to 80% of the water is thrown as rejects and only 15 to 20% is reused back. Rainwater harvesting or the pond water or the well water or the river water just needs this technology. Again, thanks to Department of Science and Technology. One of my innovation got funded for the writing the protocol. A silver sheet can do a job. Dip a silver sheet, a very thin one, pure silver sheet inside water. Wait for 10 hours. You can test that water in any lab. It is zero bacteria water. That's all the technology required. And the silver sheet will not dissolve in water. There are no chemicals which get added to the water. The taste of water will not change, but I can assure you this is zero bacteria water. The same silver sheet can be used for 1 year, 10 years, 100 years. Nothing will happen to this because this will not dissolve. Only thing is once in 4 days, you take it out, wash it in fresh water without soap or any other chemical, put it back. That's all is required. For your generation and the next generation, same silver sheet can be used. And we are using for decades the silver sheet in our house and many other people, and they are getting zero bacteria water from the surface water. This is another innovation which I did. Said that a water problem. And Dr. Prithviraj was elaborating on the kind of water problem what we have across the country. Rainwater is one among them to solve the solution. Solve or give this one. Free water for all of your doorstep, and there is, believe me, there is no GST for this. And it's a simple technology to do that. Way back, nearly around 30 years back, I found this rainwater harvesting can be as simple as any other thing and everybody can do. But there was a problem. The bottleneck was, how do you see that the roof water or the water which is available for you to store to be cleaned? The sandbed filters traditionally used has a lot of problem. One, it requires a lot of a large area, and second one is every 10th day or 15th day we need to change the sand or wash it and fill it back. Very messy affair. So I developed a wall-mounted filter. It's called pop-up filter. How I developed this? Basically, the roof water runs through this and travels against gravity upwards through a cartridge, and clean water comes out. There's a flush valve to drain all the dirt which is inside. Yes, this is the prototype which we done. Thousands of that we deployed in the field to see that this becomes a product. Then again, yes, a commercial product was developed, a modification to see that how it can be conveniently used by anyone across the country. And this was on the drawing board, and a production model was taken out. We tied up with a company in Gujarat, and they manufactured and supplied across the country. Rainwater comes through this inlet, and there is a flush valve for 5 minutes flushing for all the dirt to go out from the roof. Then the clean water, relatively clean water, gets filtered through a cartridge. This is the cartridge, and clean water comes to your sump and stored. Use this sump is required. Yes. When you have all these things on your drawing board and productionized, the patent and the commercialization is very important. This is how you can identify a problem, and also to see that you have solution to the society and also for your benefit too. One more innovation I'll give you. Each time when I go to a public function and where you have your lunch or dinner served, you have this table and a fresh white sheet spread on this paper. Each time it used to prick me, and then you say, what a criminal waste. Can this white paper be better used? The hundreds of thousands of trees are cut for this. Is there a better use for this? What you just need is a paper cover where plantain, the bala or any other on this one can come on that further. What I thought was, why not a newspaper do this job? But again, spreading newspaper one beside the other is a problem, and people may not like it. So I developed a charaka, a simple charaka like a Gandhi charaka, hand operated. A housemaid brings 1 or 2 kilograms of newspaper from the kabadiwala, place it on my charaka, a small charaka, just 3 feet by 3 feet charaka, and a glue made out of maida. And there is a ball pen technology which I used to dispense the glue. Each time you roll, joining 2 newspapers, the charaka pushes it and then put it onto the spindle, and you have a paper roll coming out of this charaka, and the maid can sell that back as a paper roll. Sell it back to the grocer. You will sell it back to the function people who are organizing, and you can use this. You can see here. It's so nice. Each one finds it as a pleasure to use instead of using the fresh paper. This has been tried in several places and several functions. I myself made these rolls of newspapers and they've been used. Do you think these are all great technologies? No. You identify a problem. Each one of us, instead of trying to see that a mega huge problem or a country problem is solved, why don't you look around each one of you? There are enough problems to identify, and there is definitely a solution which you can offer. Eco-friendly newspaper for better tomorrow. All these technologies are available. Unfortunately, if you have to deploy this, you need a lot of mechanism or the force or a system to work in this ecosystem for this. Now let's come back to water. I've been given the task. Half the time I have to spend on water to see how sustainably we should manage this water. In my view, there is plenty of water. No one need to get scared on this world, because the quantity of water on this earth remains same for millions of years, even today. The same quantity even after several lakhs of years. It's locked in many places, whether it is sea, salt water, ice caps, or the fresh water on the surface or the groundwater. If we manage properly, there shouldn't be any water problem. Unfortunately, we have failed in the management. That's why we have water crisis at many places. And water is not only fulfilling the needs of human being, it also fulfills the needs of all other creatures on this earth, whether it's plants, birds, trees, microbes, or whatever it is. See here. In fact, our civilization started around water. From Harappa Mohenjo-daro period, we started living around water. These lakes and water bodies were the main focal points of a village or a town. Go to any other either a pond or a lake, you will find a lot of activity around that. Almost every activity takes place around the water. You go out of your town or the city and see in the village what's happening. There's plenty of water, but how much do we use? Each one of us sitting here, we are using around 100 to 135 liters per capita per day. That is WHO standard as well as BS standard. Virtual water, because of your requirement, somebody else is using much more. For example, if you want to use a liter of milk, it requires 37 liters of fresh water to come to your house, the milk, 1 liter milk. And 1 kilogram of sugar needs 2,500 liters of water. Like this, each one of us requires 11,500 liters of water in one day. Is it scary? If you are using so much water, do you think that the next generation will have the fresh water to use? Don't get scared. As I told you, there's plenty of water. And the quantity of water cannot be destroyed. I will give you two challenges. One challenge is, can anyone destroy a drop of water? No, nobody can do it. You can't remove it from this earth. You can't destroy a drop of water. On the other hand, can you bring an extra drop of water to this earth? No. Again, it's not possible. You can't create an extra drop of this water. You can convert from one form to other, you cannot. But in this scenario, can we rely on rainwater? Yes, definitely. Because rainwater is a primary source for all your water needs. You just name it, whether it's a branded bottled water or your tap water, river water, pond water, well water, groundwater, whichever it is. Because of the rain, the same water gets recycled. How much soever you pollute it, how much soever contamination takes place, the rain takes it back as the purest form of distilled water as clouds and then comes back as purest form of water. When the nature is doing such a wonderful job, why can't we have a small component in that to harvest this rainwater and use for our need? And it rains in all the places. There's no place where it doesn't rain, wherever we are using water. So you collect that water and start using it. How do we collect? What was the scenario? In fact, you see our civilization has walked through many ways, and this was something like that. I call this as yesterday. In my childhood, we used to do this. Before going to school, myself and my sister, we have to go to the village well, draw water, and come to the school after that. Even after the school, the same thing. See this picture, how beautifully women, men, children, animals, everybody used to go there. Most decentralized and sustainable water supply system we had. No one thought that it's a big burden to get water. They used to go there and then happily sit and discuss about other things rather than the problem of water. We changed it. What did we do? Don't go to a place where there is water. We'll bring water from wherever it is. That's the challenge we took, and the modernization began. The decentralized and more sustainable water supply we dismantled. If I ask you to draw the water picture, most of you will not, you don't have the faintest idea of this. A well, a pulley, and a rope to bring water to your house and your own responsibility. No, you will draw a picture of something like this because we are in this today. Huge centralized structures, but there is no water. And many people have taken the responsibility. Tomorrow should not be something like this. And it's already happening. Many people have taken responsibility. The water supply boards, the bottlers, the tanker wallas, many such people have taken. And it has been dispensed like petrol, diesel. It has already come. Most of the wards of Bangalore have several water vending machines where 5 rupee coin has to be put and then we get drinking water. Is this what we want? How do we manage this water? In fact, such kind of wonderful structures, the wells used to yield crystal clear water. Nobody bothered about testing the quality of water. We used to just drink like this, the crystal clear water. Because the concentration or the urbanization has taken over, many brought that well into this situation. The demand for water, when it is increased, in the local area, the supply became scarce. And the pollutants, many other things started adding to the problem. And we have problems, something like this. In Bangalore, one day, the first early morning newspaper when I got, the front page had this. Our netas are doing this chaduvali, telling that. This particular thing came on Tuesday, front page of a newspaper, national newspaper, and the Karnataka has serious water problem. Very next day, 24 hours, I found this picture at the same space and the same newspaper, right here on the same. And they called it as tsunami in Bangalore. See this picture? On the roads, it's flooded so much, they were the military and other people, they brought the boats to evacuate people, and from one apartment to the other places they were taken. This happened just 24 hours. And the boats and coracles are used on this. Hapless commuters, our techies in the electronic city were using the coracle to reach their houses. This is on Osur Road recently, which we had. Last year's rain, it flooded so much, several areas of Bangalore got flooded. What is this water? This was the purest form of water when it is coming down as rain. My own simple solution. Take for example Bangalore. Today the population is more than 130 lakhs, and there are more than 30 lakh properties. Each one of this property, whether it's a house or any other this one, if they have a 5 feet by 5 feet width and 5 feet deep tank, it's approximately around 5,000 liters rainwater tank, and collect all the roof water into that, the purest form after filtration. How many tanks will be there? 30 lakh tanks. And if you collect all that water, the rainwater has no place to come on this road like this. You have decentrally collected all the water, the pure water in your own house where it is required. So you can avoid flooding, your water problem is solved, and you don't need to pay any money for that. Win-win situation for all. Very simple solution. How do we achieve that? Rainwater would be the immediate resource to augment the existing water supply system. I don't say that rainwater is the only answer. It can support the existing system by augmenting the supply. Simply catch where it falls. How do we do that? Rainwater harvesting is as simple as this. The rain comes on your house, whether it's inclined or flat roof. Instead of allowing it to go through the pipe and go away from your house, collect it in a tank. but you cannot collect all the water because it's huge quantities will come. Your tanks are smaller. You need to recharge into the ground. This is like a fixed deposit. The Mother Earth, whatever the reserve we had from the 2 to 3 decades, 30, 40 years, we have been pumping out water left and right from the ground. So the aquifers and the soil moisture has gone down. All these aquifers are dry. Why don't you put it back? As simple as this. You have an abandoned well, the old well, collect all your roof water and put it back into that. Lakhs of liters of water can go into the ground and it will come back to you. If not you, somebody else in your neighborhood will use it through their open well or bore well. If you don't have a well, old well, why don't you create one? It's very simple. Like your soak pits of a toilet, just dig a hole and cement rings and allow the rainwater to go into that. That's all is required. If you want a proper system in your house, what you need to do is, you have a building, you have a downwater pipe and rainwater comes down and goes away. You just install a filter and allow the filtered water go into your tank. It's all is rainwater harvesting. Why do you need a filter? Because you have, though the rainwater is the purest form of water which comes on your terrace, you have dust on the terrace, you have bird droppings, you have leaf litter. You need to avoid or separate these undesirable things from water and store it after that. So these filters will help. This is one of the filter which I have developed. And how do we do that? As simple as this. Next 3 slides will tell you in nutshell everything about rainwater harvesting for your house. You have a house like this. You have a roof and you have the downwater pipe. Now when it rains, the water flows out and goes away from your place. Can we connect these pipes together? Yes, anybody can do that. Take a length of around 3-inch or 4-inch pipe, 90 mm or 100 mm pipe with the elbow or T-joint, just connect it. After that, you install a filter. There are different brands of filters available, wall-mounted filters, not necessarily to buy what I have designed. The roof water comes through this pipe and get collected in the main pipe. Then it gets filtered. After that, divert that filtered water into your sump, existing sump or a tank. Most of the houses are built with a water tank because we don't have 24/7 water supply. So we cannot connect the city or town or village supply to our kitchen and have a tap and say that water comes throughout the day. So because of that uncertainty, all the buildings have an underground tank and a overhead tank. So allow your rainwater after filtration into that. That's all is rainwater harvesting. How much it costs? You have your building roof and the pipe. You need an extra length of pipe to connect and a filter, which costs around 5,000 rupees, and the pipe costs around 2,000 rupees, so labor another 2-3,000, 10 to 12,000 rupees or maximum 15,000. You have rainwater harvesting for your house. If your house is big, you can bring the water from the other side with a similar system and then store this one. This is all is rainwater harvesting. Rooftop rainwater harvesting. Simple first step to do that. Everybody can do. Each one of you can do that and also spread the message to all your neighbors. How does the filter work? It's a very simple filter which you have developed. The roof water comes through your downwater pipe, enters this filter, and there's a flush valve. All the rejects get flushed because there is an automatic arrangement, and clean water comes through the cartridge and then it goes into your sump for collection. And very simple and very easy to install on your wall and do it. And this is for large buildings. Thousands of buildings in city and many other places, we have built rainwater harvesting systems for this. Here, instead of having filter for every pipe or maybe 2-3 pipes, you cannot have that for large buildings, such kind of small filters. There's a collective filtration system or a high volume filtration system which I have developed. Here, what is happening is all these pipes using the natural gradient in the landscape, bring it to the lower portion, and at that place, the trunk line which brings the water from all your roofs can be handled there. This is a filter which what it does is every time it rains, the first 2 minutes or 3 minutes of the water, it diverts for groundwater recharge, which will have all the contaminants like bird droppings, dust, leaf litter, and all that. After that, the crystal clear water which is coming will go through a pebble bed filter to your sump. That's all is required. This is how it is done. You have large building and many such pipes. Bring all those pipes, and there is a high volume filtration system which you have developed. And after filtration, it goes here. This doesn't need any maintenance for years. Even for several years, you don't need to do anything. Every time the water comes, the rain comes, the first few minutes of the water gets separated here. Afterwards, valve automatically closes and goes into this, and crystal clear water we have. This has been tried 15 years back through the State Council in Bangalore. We developed rainwater harvesting. I was instrumental to develop for many such buildings. Earlier, the pipes were like this. We interconnected all those pipes in Vidhana Soda, brought that large pipe outside Vidhan Soda because we could not create a storage place inside Vidhan Soda. And if you see, Vidhan Soda is such a good heritage building. There are not a single rainwater pipe outside the building. They are all inside the building in the courtyard. So our challenge was to bring the water out. We brought the water out at different corners in large pipes and filtered in high volume filtration system which I have developed. And the large hundreds, lakhs of liters of water is stored below this garden area where there are huge sumps are built. And that same thing is in use. Examples are many, like High Court building, where the Britishers have built this in the Kaban Park. The rainwater pipes are inside these pillars. We traced those pipes through the basement we collected and filtered and then start using that. Hundreds and thousands of industries are now harvesting rainwater. We have given the technology. Now they not only harvest water, they use it and also sell water if there is excess in that. These are some of the examples which I can show you which are very unique. For example, BWSSB, Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board, which supplies Kaveri water to all the Bangaloreans. What we did was we have large tanks like this which store Kaveri river water in these tanks. These are called GLRs, ground level reservoirs, where the Kaveri water after chlorination is stored here before distribution. Now, what we did was we designed the rainwater harvesting system for even these structures. The roof water of these tanks are collected mixed with rainwater also. There's several programs across the country which I have done. I was an advisor for even now United Nations Development Program. This is somewhere in the Himalayan regions, Uttarakhand, where we showed them how they can use rainwater for their drinking purpose. These are areas where they are in a very high regions of the mountains where there is no water source. When it rains, a lot of water flows down through the valley and then goes away from the place. And unlike these plain areas, there are no tanks, there are no wells which can yield, there are no lakes. So water source is very scarce. And even if you have borewell, you cannot drill borewells. Even 1,000 feet, you don't get water there because of the very steep mountain range. So they have to walk all the way down for kilometers and take back on their back the fresh water. So what we did was we harvested rainwater from their own roof, guided them, rather trained and educated them how to build the gutters, how to build the filters, how to store this water in the locally available material. These are some of the training programs. I transferred the skills to these local people to harvest rainwater from their own buildings, and there are champions who are doing this across the Himalayan belt and also northeastern states. These are some of them in the Sikkim and other areas. You can see that the roof water collected, filtered, stored in tank, and they have fresh water for drinking purpose. Not only in these exceptional areas, you go to any place, you can do this rainwater harvesting. Wherever there is a building, wherever there is an open space, wherever there is a large office building or a software park or any place, rainwater harvesting is something which we need to do. Because rain is free and it's the purest form of water. And wherever this kind of house or institution or a commercial place exists, there's a lot of demand for water. So why don't the demand and the supply both are there? Why don't you try to utilize this, try to match this? We did this experiment in Kengeri BD Workers Housing Camp through the Indo-Norwegian program, where I was the program manager for the state. We took this experiment and saw that these small government buildings which are built for these BD workers, a small slum kind of thing, connected all their roof, filtered, and the rainwater is stored in a tank. This is what happened. A very dirty place became such a good place for them to collect water from the roof, and they start using it. You can see the smile on their faces. Each time it rains, they collect water, pure water for their drinking. Otherwise, they use highly polluted water from the lakes and other places nearby. This is the rural Karnataka. The previous speaker was telling about the water problems in the rural areas. 84% of the Karnataka water supply through the rural water supply system is through groundwater, borewell water, deeper borewell water. 84% of that water is contaminated with fluoride and other contaminants. We said there is an answer for this. That fluoride water, you can use it for all this secondary water borewell water for your secondary purposes. What you can do is generate your own water, the roof water, use it through a sandbed filter and store it in a tank, and you can definitely have fresh water, clean water at your doorstep. I'll tell you, this is the happiest family which I can see. This is somewhere in, I think, Koppal or some place, in a very dry place. They generate their own water. We built a system through some government program, RDPR, Rural Development and Panchayat Raj system. The gutter collects the rainwater, comes through this pipe. There's a first flush valve, which we have asked them to separate first 5 minutes of the rain. Then it goes through a sandbed filter, and there is a tank which is totally sealed. Don't need to open that. And there is a tap here. This gives rainwater, purest form of water. Each day they collect 2 parts of water. Nearly, I think it's 9 years old. From that day till now, this tank has not gone empty at all, because every day they empty or they take out only two parts of water for drinking and cooking. This is their house, this is a kitchen, this is a washroom, that's all. Next time when we went, they were so happy to show us, and we saw that this tap had a lock. They're securing water much more than what they can do for their jewels or any other thing, because that's more important for them, and it has given them more liberty, better health. From that day till now, they don't have any water problem, and they're using this water for drinking and cooking. No other treatment required. In fact, it is free. They don't have a water bill to pay. And as I told you, there's no GST for water, rainwater. You can also do that. As simple as this. Best practices. Educate the public. Educate the children. In Karnataka, I think this may be the world's largest program which we took through RDPR, Rural Development and Panchayat Raj system, where 22,368 rural schools, including the Udupi, Kundapura, and Manipal, most of the rural schools, we built rooftop rainwater harvesting for school children, the rural government schools. Roof water collected through these pipes, went through the sandbed filter. There is a totally sealed tank. There are taps with locks. The teacher gives 1 liter pure rainwater to drink for these children. The message here is very clear. These children, after using rainwater, which are so happy and so healthy, they went back and told their parents, look, we are drinking Amrita, the cleanest form of water in our school. Why are you giving that borewell poison water to us? Why don't you do rainwater harvesting, which is as simple as this? Best practices. Explain what is rainwater harvesting in the local language. How simple it is to build. Who is the local mason who built? There is no extra thing which we need to buy from the town or any other place. How much it costs, whom to contact, all this we can do. This is basically, see, Nirmiti Kendras, which are there in next door to Udupi and other places. They are building all this. And the technology is very simple. Show them how they can build using local. Over 3,000 large industries we have given technical consultation for building rainwater harvesting across the country. In fact, Hindustan Unilever has built more than 42 plants, and most of them are self-sufficient for their water needs. Many such kind of things. And in Bangalore, we have 200,000 homes which has rainwater harvesting, and either they use directly or recharge into the ground. Rainwater harvesting can be as simple as this. Tie a dhoti or a sari, 4 corners on your roof, and when it rains, the water what you collect will be the purest form of water. Nobody can provide you any water. The water bottle what you are holding cannot give you this clean water. You can test it in the labs. As simple as this. Let me give you a small example of a case study of yours. I hope I have another 10 minutes, maybe less than that. I will try to conclude. A small case study, a house in Bangalore, which is now 27 years from that day till now, they're using only rainwater. They don't have piped water supply. It's just a 40 feet by 60 feet site, 2,400 square feet on this one. They have plenty of garden area and they have a huge quantity of water stored in that place. This is the house. It looks like this. It's a lot of greenery and it's no paint, no plastering. It looks like a natural house, like somewhere in the woods. What they have done is a very simple thing, two-floored house, ground floor plus first floor. They have a small tank on the first floor, ground floor roof. This is called zero energy tank, zero energy water tank. The first floor roof water comes into that after filtration, and that gets fed to the entire groundwater through in the rainy season without being pumped. Zero energy free water, rainwater. Excess water comes into large sumps, they get stored, and also when it overflows, it goes into the ground. Because a plot of 40 feet by 60 feet in Bangalore gives 230,000 liters of water in a year. Whereas a family of 4 people needs only around 1.5 lakh liters or maximum 1.8 lakh liters. Yet the excess water, what they don't have outside water supply. The excess rainwater, they put it back into the ground for groundwater recharge for others to use. They also reuse this water because conservation is also important and reuse of water is one among them. These are the tank. It looks like any other normal house, around 45,000 liters of storage because the tanks need to be bigger because it doesn't rain every day. Whenever it rains, you need to collect more water. Around 400 liters per day they use, and throughout the year they have no water problem because this 45,000 liters is something calculations goes like this. The dry days between two successive rains is 100 days in Bangalore. Those 100 days you need to have the storage. After that, there is another rain, start filling your tank, and you will have fresh water to use. This is their roof water tank, where the first floor roof water comes, gets filtered, and then goes into this tank for storage, and they use it in the ground floor without being pumped. And the excess water from this pipe goes into the underground sump to collect. And they also reuse the water which comes from the washing machine for toilet flushing. When I did a lot of experiment, I found out the largest use of water, single use, is toilet flushing. Any house. Nearly around 40 to 50% of your water goes down the drain to just flush your poo. Very sorry to say, the crystal clear drinking water goes through this flush. Why don't you use this water? Believe me, these washing machines are there in almost every house nowadays. The water coming out of this washing machine after the laundry cleaning is just soap water. Why don't you use that water to your flushing? Soap water cleans your toilet better than the fresh water. In fact, it has detergents already. So that's what this house did. What they did was they have the washing machine outlet connected to a small tank, sump. From there, they pump it out for treatment because if you use the washing machine water directly for flushing, it's no problem. But if you store that, because of the oil, grease, sweat, and all that, it starts smelling after on the degradation. So you need to treat it. How did they treat that? Very simple here. They have large drums on the roof which have this vetiver grass. The detergent or the washing machine water comes through this. All the organic matter gets absorbed by the plants. It goes through the aerator, gets stored here, and then for flushing. You can see the luxurious growth of this. It's around 8 feet growth of this. This you see in most of these polluted lakes where this luxurious growth of these plants. That's what is happening here. Every 4 or 5 months, they harvest this plant and they have clean water to flush. Your kitchen is a good example for conservation also. Kitchen sink water after washing your utensils, vegetables, fruits and all, please don't drain it down on the drain because if you use that water for your plants, it's a good candidate to save water and also it is your plants are more healthier. You know why? This is masala water, what you are giving. So the plants are also better off with masala water. Like how you like your masala, plants can also, a lot of water can be saved like this. In fact, this house, other than water, there are many other nature-friendly activities because I'm coming closer to that sustainability angle of today's talk. each one of us generate a lot of waste every day, especially the organic waste. If you throw out, there are a lot of problems. Why don't we reuse that inside our premises? Like this particular house, what they are doing is they are earthworms which feed on this organic waste to convert that into manure. All the kitchen waste and many other paper, everything comes into this earthworm pit. There are hundreds of earthworms which eat all that and convert that into manure. That manure becomes a lot of greenery around them. Because of all this entire house is as an ecosystem. Not only four people live that, this is a house for many such kind of birds, beehive, butterflies, and fish, tortoise, and name it. And a lot of creatures live. And this is in the heart of Bangalore, in a 40 feet by 60 feet site. This is an independent house. And yes, see here, this is natural light. There is no artificial electric lamp or LED lamp glowing here. Basically, the skylight of the roof, which spreads the sunlight, and there are mirrors which reflect the light into the nook and corner of the house. That's how there is a lot of natural light which comes in, and that's how they save a lot of electricity. In fact, their house is built using rat trap design. Rat trap, maybe some of you engineering students will know. Same 9-inch wall like any other wall which is built, but it has a 3-inch gap. So less number of bricks are used, cost is also saved. And there's a air gap like our thermos flask, where the heat from outside will not travel inside the house, and cost is also cheaper. And house is kept cool. And the roof is painted bright white here. Once you paint the roof bright white, the sun's rays gets reflected, and temperature inside comes down. Compared to any of the neighboring houses, this house is cooler by around 4 to 5 degrees. That's more than sufficient to avoid usage of fan even in the deep summer in this house. They don't use AC, air conditioners, or fans in that house, and nature takes care of all that. Around 18 trees are grown inside the house. Can you see the tree here? They have water bodies, and they have plants here. And these water bodies are something which a part of the ecosystem where there are guppy fish, small fish, which feed on the mosquito larvae, so that the mosquitoes will not spread. And a lot of birds visit. The plants are looking beautiful. Fish also survive on that. It's all rainwater which is spread. Even the coconut husk, they're not left. That's a pot. It's a good candidate to conserve water because you don't need to water them frequently. You can see here a lot of orchids and other things are growing. A micro environment has been created in this house in such a fashion. They have made the nature to work overtime, but they have not abused. So nature is providing all the help for clean, dust-free, cool air inside. No AC or no fans are required. Clean, pure water from rain. Sun provides the required heat, solar lighting, and many such things. And that way, the nature is earthworms, beehives, and fish. Many all these things act to see that they get support from this nature for all the requirements of the house. Some of the trees. This is the neem tree which is grown inside the plot in the house, which gives very good clean air, the cool air inside the house. You can see the other tree which is grown in the plot. This is copperpot tree where hundreds of such parakeets come and visit this house. This house is called Saurabha. The bottom line is what they've done is they just use 400 liter per day because they reuse water and also only rainwater. Around 100 units of electricity is required for their month. 1 month's requirement of their television, washing machine, and all that. The waste is generated, used inside the house, except for 2 kilograms of rejects like plastic, glass, or metal per week, not per day. 2 kilograms, that's all. It's the house is called Saurabha. It's in the heart of Bangalore, and there's a lady and 2 children. They are living in this house, and I'm fortunate to live in the same house with them. Rainwater harvesting can be as simple as this. Each one of you can follow, and you have the will to do that. And I wish you all the best to practice most of these things and be an innovator to see that simple problems of the society can be solved, and you have a solution for all these things. All the best to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shivakumar, for your nice presentation. And now there is a time, some questions. If you have from our audience, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I am open to answer any question. All these slides are available either in the website or in my blog or in the YouTube. Many more such things can be taken, downloaded from these things. And I hope you also will circulate my coordinates to see that if somebody needs any help, we can definitely provide. Shall I close my presentation?
I have a small question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Actually, it was an excellent talk, and you have done a lot of innovative work which was simple and probably cost effective or cheap. But most of your rainwater harvesting programs are connected to the existing houses where there is an open terrace. That means there are big houses where there is an open terrace where rainwater falls, and you don't waste the rainwater and you harvest it somewhere, store it by some procedure. And you have increased, your procedures have increased if I'm correct, your procedures are to increase the water that has been harvested there and stored for future use. What I'm just thinking is, I'm not sure whether it could be right or workable, doable. See, suppose you are thinking of a new house construction. Okay, there itself, I thought you can plan it such a way that rainwater harvesting or the rainwater storage is a part of it, part of the plan itself. For example, I see in certain places, I was living in one house here. It has 8 stories and very big block. There are, I mean, basement houses below the ground level also. Either houses or basement, I mean, car shed, garage. So I was thinking, in case you forego with the basement structure, your entire house is above the ground level, where most of the houses these days, the ground level is for car parking. And you are unnecessarily closing all the sides for water. Water cannot enter that place, whether you have basement or not.
Yeah, I got your point. Basically, because of proximity of time, I have not shown all the slides. In fact, most of the examples what I showed, they're built in situ when they are building the building. In fact, rainwater harvesting is the best or the cheapest if you integrate with the building. So in the building plan itself, you can do that. And as you said, the lot of underground area can be used for storing the rainwater. And that is the cheapest way to store rainwater. I completely agree with you, but because of the proximity of time, I could not show many other things which are part and parcel of rainwater harvesting.
I'm not talking about the water that has collected on the top that goes in the usual conventional rainwater harvesting. I was thinking, if this provision is given, even the water that flows on the ground will naturally enter that place.
If another session is given, I can give you hundreds of examples what we have done with the carriage areas, driveways, public parks, roads, airports, and software companies. What we have done through the council, the several such innovative ideas which I have done. I myself personally have planned for 700 parks in Bangalore. And every road in Bangalore, we have done rainwater harvesting through the stormwater drains and all that. But unfortunately, in one session, I cannot cover all that. And I agree with you, rainwater harvesting is not just rooftop. As a first step, I explained this, but rainwater harvesting has to be there in the catchment area basis. Like if you have a watershed, from the watershed, you should start and come to your house at the last. So that's how we should be in a position to harvest from the watershed, that's a larger surface catchments, using the lakes, water bodies, the Mother Earth for groundwater recharge, the check dams and percolation pits, All these things should be integrated to see to build sustainable water usage in our area.
Yashomana, yeah, please.
Yeah. So thanks for your talk. And I have a small query. Like your talk, even in the previous talk, I have what I get the knowledge that boring pump is doing like very harmful for our society, because day by day it is the water level is decreasing. So why when so many boring pump coming in a local place, why the local municipality is giving the permission? Because I am facing my hometown is facing this problem. We had well where a normal well, then everyone in that area tried this pump, and now many of us are not getting well water because there's
Borewells are sucking out that water.
yeah.
You see, it's a double-edged sword. Consider Bangalore city. Bangalore city supply through BWSSP cannot supply water to every house as of now. The infrastructure is not built full. So in that scenario, if you have to leave, you have to find alternate methods. So these borewells have come up, so they are using this water. I'm not against borewells. Only thing is, why don't you sustainably harvest rainwater, use the groundwater judiciously? One small change will bring all this into a stop. If you want to draw 1 liter of water from the ground, from any borewell or open well or wherever it is, 2 liters from any place, you have to pump it back to the ground. If that law is brought, your problem is answered and solved. Now that law is not there. It is free for all. Whoever pumps the water first, they get the water. The person who is pumping last will not get water in the well. The problem what you told in your well, same thing happens.
Sir, this is Navya. Thank you for a wonderful presentation and for educating and motivating us with simple methods. And I have a question that in the beginning of your slides, that you have shown that in the water pot with the silver plate, you mentioned
Silver sheet
that
immersed, yes.
yeah, silver sheet. The water will be devoid of microorganism. So why
Bacteria
is
and
it? Yeah,
yeah, see,
bacteria.
basically it's the silver sheet. I did a lot of research and we have even written the protocol how to use this. Basically, this if you go to my blog, you will get all this. Silver is a known bactericide. Any bacteria coming in contact with silver ion will die. So that's the same thing which is happening. But here the water which is having other contaminants like any other minerals or salts or this arsenic or fluoride will not get cleaned in this. Only bacterial contamination can be cleaned. And that is what is required for our well water, rainwater, river water and all this, because these are fresh water which is the silver sheet, the technique is very simple. The bactericide property of the silver is used here.
Okay. So basically, bacteria doesn't like silver, unlike human beings.
Yeah, actually, silver is not harmful to us because it doesn't dissolve in water. Whereas inside water, when the silver sheet is kept, the bacteria will come in contact with the silver ions and they will die. The same thing is true with the copper also, copper sheet. But unfortunately, copper on a longer time use basis, you develop copper toxicity, may be harmful to our health. That's why
Yes.
a lot of people use copper pots and copper bottles. And earlier, from our Rishi Muni, they were using copper. This one, that's a good bactericide. But in the modern era, because of this problem, what we have found, copper toxicity in human being after continuous use, I recommend use of silver. And it's not, you don't need silver of large quantity. A very thin sheet will do. Thickness doesn't matter. The thinnest, like your paper, can do the job.
So how often we should change the?
Once in, no, you don't need to change the silver sheet at all. You can
No,
use
I mean,
it, and for your next, your children also, you can give the same thing and go. Only thing is that once in 4 or 5 years, you just have 4 days, you have to wash it thoroughly in fresh water, no detergents, no chemicals. Just wipe it with dry cloth and put it back into this one. And certain things you have to, this one, you go to the blog and see, because of proximity of time, I didn't explain. This has to be kept in a closed container without sunlight. Silver reacts with the light, so all the time silver need to be in dark, even the water.
Thank you,
And
sir.
only once in 4 days you just take it out and clean it and put it back again, that's all. And minimum 10 hours you have to leave it untouched, undisturbed, then you have zero bacteria water.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
It was wonderful implementation, and at last, how you told it is your own house.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah, right.
but I have a one question here regarding the cartridge which you used for filtering the rainwater.
Rooftop
What
rainwater.
exactly? Yeah, is
Be-
it?
See, this cartridge, you don't need to replace that. Basically, it's a lifetime once use. It comes with a filter. You don't need to change it. It has
Is
many
it like-
layers of this plastic mesh in different size and pattern. After several years of research, I managed to see that with so much of experimentation, it's easy to clean. At the same time, it will trap all that dirt, dust, and many other suspended particles. Thirdly, these things will not get embedded in between those. So lot of such kind of permutation combinations which I have tried, and these are all non-degradable food grade plastics which we have used.
That is, then it is like one-time installment.
Only one time. Only thing is you just have to flush it, and there is a, in the new model what we have brought, you don't need to even take it out. There is a backwash arrangement which I have given. You connect a hose pipe once in a month or once in 2 months and flush it. That's all is required. If it is required, there is too much of contamination on your roof, take it out, wash it below a tap, put it back. You can find it in YouTube. You can, all these things are available.
Sir, another thing, I don't know much about this one, but in the polluted areas, like we have heard about this acid rains. So if such kind of scenario happens,
don't worry about acid rains, because there are no acid rains anywhere in the country, especially India. Maybe some refineries and other close by if you have. Otherwise, there is no acid rain. And if there is any small contamination, dissolved contaminants which are coming through, the first flush of our filters will handle. Because the first few minutes of the water goes out for groundwater recharge, or it's wasted. So it takes care of all that. Don't worry. I have a living example. My family, for last 27 years, we are using only rainwater for all our purpose. There are hundreds of such people who are using this. Don't worry about this.
And one more question, like if we store the water in a closed container, I mean, nothing will happen to that. I mean, that's,
yeah, water can be stored for 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, 100 years. Nothing will happen to water, because water is colorless, tasteless, odorless, shapeless. There is nothing in this. It's almost inert. If water has to get contaminated, means you have to contaminate it by not understanding water. If you store water in dark, yes, without the presence of light or air together, then the water is safe. That's why your borewell water, what you are drawing, you know what is the manufacturing date or when it went there? Maybe 100 years, 200 years. Crystal clear it comes, because it's in the dark. See, in the dark, algae cannot grow, bacteria cannot survive. So you keep water in your sump or over a tank in dark. In my training program, normally I recommend, most of these overhead tanks has an overflow pipe, and the light enters there. You connect a bend for that and a small pipe, so that the water comes out and air goes inside, but the light will not travel inside. It should be pitch dark inside your water storage places, so no algae, nothing can grow. I hope I am clear for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, there is a question from one of our online participants, Anirudh Bharadwaj.
Okay.
He is asking, I was wondering if it is cost effective right now to harvest water from the water vapor in the air around us, especially in the coastal areas?
Not only coastal, any place you can definitely harvest water. Your AC is doing the same job. Whatever the condensate which is coming down through your air conditioning, and there is a small pipe, water comes out, that is water from air only. There is no big deal about it. Unfortunately, it is not economical. Secondly, you should not do it because, see, when you draw moisture from your air, the air around you becomes more dry. In fact, you have your desert coolers and others where you add a lot of water to see your environment around you is more pleasant with a lot of moisture. Here you are drawing water from your air. So it's my question is, why do you want to eat like this when you can eat easily like this? There is better answers for water rather than going through the conversion of water, the air to water requirement.
Sir, to add to your point, I think this water from air project works between some levels of relative humidity, I guess, like between 50 to 75. Am I right, sir?
Yeah. See, the more the moisture in the air, your yield is better because it condenses the moisture of the air and gives you water. That's all. There are air to water harvesters in a large scale on mountains and all that. See, use that as a last option. And Dr. Prithviraj was telling about the deep sea water temperature difference and all. You can't do it in Bangalore because neither you have the sea nor the temperature gradient. Why do you want to do that when there is enough better options here? Harvest rainwater or use groundwater or reuse your water. See, water is same as I told you. The same water. You know what? Which water you are drinking today? The water which you are drinking in Manipal, maybe somebody else in the world would have used it, drank it, and it comes out through him, and then the same water you are drinking. Don't blame me, but it is true. The water on this earth is going round and round from many places. So why are you worried about this condensation from the air or many other techniques? Why don't you reuse your water as a last option? At least for drinking and cooking, you use your rainwater or the fresh water. For all other purpose, they reuse your water. From your hostel or from your township, you know how much water goes out? If you are using 100 liters in your campus, 80 liters goes out as sewage. It's a universal norm. Any city discharges 80% of your water as wastewater. That's how Singapore is thriving, because this 80 liters becomes the raw water for them to generate more water. They don't waste a single drop of water. That's why today's newspaper you saw, Tumukur, Kolar, Chikmagalur, all these districts are fighting for sewage water of Bangalore. They say my share is not given. We are starving. You know why? All these lakes are filled with the treated water from the sewage of Bangalore. The time has come. We are fighting to get this sewage water. If Bangalore city sewage is stopped, the Tamil Nadu people will fight because there will not be water which flows through some of these areas. So there are better options. So you don't need to go for complicated issues.
Yes, and I also heard about it, like this water from air project also leads to, or somehow it's linked to desertification, as it is proven in some places.
Yeah, let's not go deeper into that. This is not the form. Yeah. Anyway, I am against all that. You see, low-hanging fruits are for you to harvest. Why do you want to complicate issues when you have an easy option to do? For a research purpose, for an academic documentation or something, it's okay. But practically, if you want to solve the societal needs, as my title says, no, this is not the form to talk.
Thank you.
So it's Anant again. It's continuation of my previous question. Does this tanks require any cleaning or something? In
my view, especially in my house and wherever thousands which we have built, you don't need cleaning quite often. Once in maybe 2 years or 3 years, the sediment at the bottom need to be taken out, cleaned. Otherwise, the surface will not need not be cleaned, because it will be clean only. Whatever the sediment like this fine dust and other things will settle at the bottom. So when you are using water from any tank, try to pump it off with nearly 6 inches gap from the bottom. So never touch that water. So let the bottom have all this settled silt and other things that you can clean once in a year, once in 2 years and 3 years. Otherwise, you don't need frequent cleaning of this.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
This is not a question. Thank you, Dr. Shivakumar. Thank you very much for giving this wonderful talk, wherein the interventions that you're proposing are all very simple, need to be followed seriously.
Thank you, Dr. Prithviraj, for providing me such an opportunity to share my views with your students, staff, and many others who are part of today's event.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Shivakumar, for your nice talk again. So let's we can close the session.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, tomorrow there will be 2 talks. One from 3:30 p.m. by Dr. Srijit Padinhattari, and that is on Aditya L1, India's first dedicated space mission to study the sun. And from 5